Can you believe that we only have less than a week left of October, and therefore Inktober, Drawtober, whatever October drawing challenge you're doing this month? I actually have been pretty on top of it this year. It's very exciting. I'm a couple behind, but I want to talk about my project, what I've been working on, show you some of the artwork. I've been loving it this year for a lot of reasons. So let's talk about it. Let's chat about Inktober and have a fun time while I work on this little piece. So let's just talk really quickly about, I guess, what Inktober is very, very quickly, because I think most people know Inktober is just it's a drawing challenge specifically in October where you make a new ink drawing every single day. Now, I'm one for making things work for you, so lots of people won't do it in ink. A lot of people do it digitally or with pencil, or they'll ink something and then watercolor it, or whatever the case is. There are also lots of other drawing challenges that have also been associated with October, so it's a very creative time right now. And I chose this year to do something that was a little bit more scaled back from what I've done in the past. So just a little bit of context. I've been doing Inktober for years. I need to look it up how many years exactly. It kind of feels like it's been at least 6, maybe more than that. So I have 3 or 4 books. Wow, I don't even know. Anyways, I've been doing it for a while, and I've been doing really big projects when I have done Inktober. So I've done the pieces like a full 8x10 size every single day, which has been amazing. It was really challenging, but again, it was really challenging. It did end up being very stressful and hard in a way that I could easily see myself wanting to replicate. But this year, I had just finished a Kickstarter. I'm still working through that. I'm working on getting it completed and steaming the product so I can send it out and all of that good stuff. So I knew that I wasn't going to immediately roll it into an art book that I would kickstart like I have in the past when I've done a bigger project, because I don't want to run another Kickstarter while I haven't fulfilled the last one. So it left more room for me to adjust. I've also skipped it some of the last few years. So I really, really wanted to do it, but I wanted to do it in proportion that made sense. That was a really long explanation of how I arrived at what I chose to do. So I decided to keep the size much smaller, which I think was the biggest game changer for me. So the paper that I'm working on, I think it's 5x5, and then the interior, the image itself is a 5x5. 5.5 is what I said. The paper's 5.5. Anyways, the painting is 5x5 inches. So that's substantially smaller than pieces that I've done in the past. And that has allowed me to have the same level of finish that I want, because I do desire that. I want to complete it to that level. But it takes so much less time to arrive at that point. And that means that I can very easily conceptualize, sketch, ink, draw, finish, do all the ink washes. I can do all of that within a day, which in the past I could do it, but it was definitely a bit of a struggle. And sometimes I'd have more complex pieces that overtook the next day, so then I would have to adapt and do a simpler one. And it has been really pleasant. I've been really enjoying working at this scale. I also chose more of a feeling that I wanted to portray in these pieces than a theme. So I've been unhappy with the totality of the work I've been doing for a while, with how all of the pieces come together. And I just want to reconnect with the roots of what I want to say with my art, what I actually want to paint. So letting Inktober be a place for rekindling that inspiration and rediscovering the things that I do love, and maybe expanding on that, or even just meditating on it in a way of, why do I love these things? Why do I love painting it? How can I expand it? How can I find new interest in it or new ways to portray it? And that was so needed. I really needed to do that. But yeah, so the overall feel theme kind of for my Inktober this year is really just ghostly, haunted, women, grim reapers, moths, skulls. None of this stuff sounds new or novel, and that's kind of the point, is that these are all things that I love painting, and when I have painted them and do paint them, I feel the most connected with a piece. And I often do pieces that vary much farther from these concepts or even this emotion or mood, and then it ends up just not quite feeling right. So this is helpful to just get back into what does it take to make a piece that I actually feel connected with. And some of these Inktober's I would love to turn into fully completed illustrations with color. I think that's really the beauty of Inktober, but also this project for me personally, is that it's allowing me to complete a lot of concepts very quickly to a fully realized state. And then I can see that for what it is and see what areas I could really expound on and spend more time finessing and exploring. So yeah, if some of what you see during my Inktober project ends up popping up again, that's why, because I found it so exciting to revisit that. Oh, and just a little recap of what tools I'm using. It's very similar to what I've done in the past, except for I am doing a lot more of brush and ink for the lines. And by a lot more, I mean period. I don't think I've ever done that for Inktober before. So I am using Dr. P.H. Martin's bulletproof ink. I think I will type it out in the description. It's one of those inks. So it is waterproof, super waterproof once it dries, which is exactly what I wanted. I wanted to be able to layer ink washes on top of itself, but I also wanted to be able to preserve the textures that I was creating. So I've got that ink. I have a little ceramic dish that I use to mix the ink or to put the ink straight in so I can dip my brush in it. And I'm using Arch's hot pressed watercolor paper, so it's smooth. And what else? Oh, microns. I am using microns. I'm using them sparingly in some pieces and completely in others. It just kind of depends. They definitely have a role and a benefit. And then I am using I think it's 5/0 size of a liner brush from Trekell. That's actually, I use a lot of different liner sizes throughout, but that's the one I used for this piece. So yeah, so the place that microns have for me for this year is that they are very convenient. I find that when I'm feeling a little bit less alert and a little more tired, those have been my fallback. I think that it's that I can get a result that I'm happy with, but easier in a way. It's a little bit harder on my hand, but I find that if I'm just a little bit sloppier, it's not quite as noticeable as when I'm doing a brush and ink. But the brush and ink I find is a lot gentler on my hand. It doesn't stress the muscles nearly as much. It's a lot blacker of a black, so it looks really sharp. And I love the process more. It just feels far more organic, and like the ceiling of the cap of my skills that I can use with the brush and ink is a lot higher. So I think that that's really where I'm going to be pushing it more. I have been doing my line art with a brush for a while now. I just haven't used ink before, and I loved it. I loved that process. It felt really, really intuitive. So like I mentioned, I don't have a final concept or idea for how I want to put my Inktober out into the world as a whole project. So do I need that? No. Do I want it? Yes, I do love being able to create an Inktober project that has a finished purpose, basically a way that I can put out into the world that caps it off, and that's its form. So again, like in the past, I think I've only always done my Inktober's as books when I have finished them as a full project like that, but I have done them as books, and I love that. I love it. But this year I'm in a different position because I have this Kickstarter going. So I'm I'm not sure exactly what the final form will be for this Inktober, which is kind of fun. It's fun to have a little bit more uncertainty and possibility in that. So some of the things that I have thought about for my Inktober is I could print a small batch of books and just have them really limited, and I would fund it myself. So I wouldn't be running a Kickstarter. I would just have a limited amount that is available on my shop, and then that's it. I have also considered doing premium prints of all of them. So basically the same quality of the prints that are at my shop. And since I do those all at home, I'd be able to do them just custom size and then cut them down. And then I thought about designing a box that they would go in. I think that that would be really cool. I actually have a really nice 3D printer that I thought about, like 3D modeling a box that would fit the theme, and I could put in some specific details, and I think that that would be special and different. So that's also something that I'm considering. And I don't know, those are my 2 options right now. Let me know if you have a preference or any ideas on what I could do with this full Inktober project when I am done with it, which I want to do something with it. I would love to do something with it. But overall, I've just found that this has been extremely helpful at reorienting my personal compass for what I want to work on artistically. I feel really ready to start off working on bigger pieces, working on my projects. I feel like I know what I want to paint again, and that feels really exciting and great. And so far, I've loved working on these Inktober's. It feels like coming home art-wise. But yeah, that is about it for today. I will have all of these originals available at some point. I think I'm probably going to wait till the end of Inktober, but then I'll have a big shop update with all of the originals. So they will be available for sure, and it won't be much longer after the end of October. So if you see anything that you're really interested in, stay tuned. I will be releasing it. But that's it for today. So thank you guys so much for watching. I believe in you if you're working on an art project or an art challenge for this month. We can get it done. I believe in us. But that's it for today. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.